So welcome to the optional lecture about the results of the app. Let me share the slides right away. There you go. So first of all, I didn't review every single project, but at this point, I think that more than half of the TAs has already delivered the feedback. I did actually check a couple of random projects in addition to the ones that I reviewed, just to check that the code base was okay. And yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. So let's do a retrospective about the project, what went well and what can be improved. So what went well, and especially a lot well in comparison to previous SDA iteration, and especially in comparison to some of the Cupcake websites, is that the project organization was quite nice. As soon as I opened the projects, they were like, I can understand what are the components, what are the styles, and so on and so forth. So congratulations to everybody. Again, I didn't check every single project, but by picking a couple of random, and those random projects as well have the same organization, I can safely say that most of you actually did the same thing. So thank you so much for that. And the React coding, I can see that the concept of the create components, the concept of using a state were mostly understood. So yeah, I'm happy for that as well. What stuff can be improved? Well, I see that you're struggling a little bit in the software engineering part, in the requirement gathering. We're gonna see that one, and the diagram priority. What I mean by that is like I still see that people consider the diagram something like it's a secondary. It's like it's nice to have, but it's not obligatory. And to be honest, I do consider that it's still obligatory because I will show you how the project was supposed to be look. Not all projects look the same. There is a special one topic that we're gonna discuss today. That is the search bar. I saw a lot of people having a lot of problem with this particular requirement. So, okay, today we're gonna see in the code base, we're gonna see 5 topics: the search bar, loading real versus fake data, because you know that the servers were down a couple of times, and that's no excuse to not keep developing the project. You will see how. Then, even if I see a lot of project organization, I see a couple of projects that the components could be still further refactored. So we're gonna quickly check that. Then we're gonna quickly just touch the map component and the translation. We're not gonna code it nor install it. We're just gonna see the results in the final project, so you can see have a guideline on how to do it on your own. In any case, before we start with the search bar, let's go and check. This is the final project. Like this was expected from you. So let me reload the page, and you can see a loading page, and you can see the list of the packages. If I choose one at random, let's check this one, for example. You can see that not. Oh, by the way, you can see that not all the information is showcased right away. We can see that we have the store, the ID of the parcel, the status. Based on the status, we can even choose an icon, and then we can see press this button to see the details. Give it a second to the map to load. Okay, this map, this one. Remember that the coordinates are random, so the coordinates can land anywhere in the planet. But let's try to find something that is a little closer to the city, like this one. It's all about random packages. Okay, this one is somewhere in some part of the civilization. I can see buildings here. So like I say, the location is called Mosin. We have an estimated delivery time of September at 33 hours. The last update was the same day. Well, this one has a mistake. The date is in the future, but it should be in the past, and it's early in the morning. We have a special note about this one. So if I click back, I just can go back here, and we can actually see how it looks behave on mobile devices. It looks quite nice, to be honest. You can see that this is the view. It looks quite nice. Instead of showing the contents and the vertical, the information in the card in a vertical fashion, we go to left to right. It's the same. It's just all about CSS. And if I choose this one, I see the location, and then I can scroll to see more information. Okay. So first things first. Let's exit the responsive mode. Let me see. And you can see the language as well. You can switch between languages. Don't worry, this was 100% optional, so this is not something to consider in your grade. We're gonna cover a little bit about this as well. So, okay, first things first, let me search something. I cannot search something. So I cannot search. Okay, I cannot search. Good point to see. Let's see about the search bar, shall we? So requirement gathering. This is something that based on the SDA 8, happened on the 9. This probably means that we need to improve something in the software engineering module because we need to focus on the requirement gathering. A lot of people had problems with the search bar, but it turns out that let's see a small video about the search bar, shall we? Ready? So this is a famous search bar. Let me play the video. I hope that the audio is playing. I hope that you can hear the audio. And if it was too loud, I'm so sorry. In any case, I know that somebody said, we need to do a search bar. Don't worry, I don't know who was. And as soon as somebody says, we need to do a search bar, everybody, I mean, literally everybody in the students group panic and started to make a search bar. In fact, we have a couple of projects that were failed. One of the reviewers, Felix here, told me that the student almost spent the entire time just making the search bar. So first things first, let's open the case study, the solution to the case study. Let's see where is the search bar in the requirements so we can see how important it was. By the way, I don't hear anybody. I don't know if my speakers are off or just people are not making conversations.
Hello.
But in any case,
We're here.
We are
We're
here.
here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I built it for fun, but I told everyone not to build it.
Don't worry, I saw your project, Nicholas. To be honest, it's almost the same as mine. So you even have a filter function. That was amazing. Congratulations about that. So yeah,
Yeah,
nice,
that was very tricky. Thanks.
nice feature, nice feature. Yeah, with more time, I probably should have done something similar. In any case, let's remember the colors that we did in the software engineering module. And this paragraph is useless. There is no information here, so you can scratch it directly. There is nothing important here for us as well, so we can strike it as well. And then it says, create a simple app for our customers. This is useless. Of course, we need to code something. Display a list of orders. Okay, let me enter responsive mode. This is a list of orders. Beautiful. Okay. Then it says or parsers. Yeah, this is a synonym. It's okay. So in the rest of the application, we know that the word orders or parsers are exactly the same, with some details that we need to to see, like order status, blah 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 blah. Feel free to use the best user experience. Okay, I never before this code interview, I never code a similar application, so I don't know what. This is ambiguous. What is the best user interface? Okay, I honestly don't know. So let's open the most important, famous web portal of e-commerce in the entire planet, called Amazon, and let me see my orders to see how it behaves. Let me open. I haven't bought anything in the last year, so let me see one. And yeah, I can see some information about my orders. I don't see everything. And I click on this one to see more information. Oh, I can see your order details. Sorry, this one. And they can see all about the information about the order. Oh, so I can just see a list of orders. And then when I click on here or click on somebody else, I will see more information. So, okay, I will use this model as an example. So I have a list of orders. And when I click here, I see more information. And there you go. That will be it. So let's continue with the requirements. And then it says the endpoint. This is important information. In fact, this is so important that I forget to highlight it. And I will highlight it in yellow because this is super important. Then the app must be used on React, functional requirement, support major mobile and desktop layouts. Okay, mobile, desktop, perfect. layouts as an optional requirement. It's still a functional requirement. It's not a non-functional. It's a functional requirement. It needs to support multiple countries or languages. Countries, to be honest, in this case, is just to confuse you, is the language that they're requiring. Then we can skip this one because if we still doing stuff, blah blah blah, we're gonna take more time. By the way, I told you during the original case study that this was only left on purpose because sorry, it was left only because in the original case study you didn't need to actually stop after 5 hours. So if somebody didn't finish the project because it just ran out of time, that's not an excuse. You have 3 days. We say that during the Wednesday that we needed to. This is just it was an example of this was here because it was in the real case study. But you don't need to worry about this one. Don't worry. It will take a couple of years until you become more confident developers, regardless of React or framework, until you can do this so fast that you can actually manage to do it in 5 hours. So if you took 10 hours, 15 hours, it's okay as long as you fulfill the functional requirements. In any case, let's continue. Another thing that we mentioned were when you have a JSON API, let me check this one. Let me open the case study again. Just give 1 second. So when we encounter an API that we never used before, I think I cannot click it because I highlighted the colors, unfortunately. But in any case, the first time that you see something like this is a mess, and we need to actually organize it. So the first thing that you do is you can copy it manually here and create an empty text in Apple numbers. Of course, you can put it in Visual Studio Code and organize it a little bit better. But let's say that I haven't teach about that. I will do it by hand, something like this. Blah, 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 blah. Keep doing this and so on and so forth. Once you do that, you can create a nice table and you can see all the keys. We have 15 keys. We can see the data type of the keys. We can add a description so we can tell everybody that what is this about. We can add some examples of the data. We can add comments. So for example, in this one, I'm putting a comment about the date that I can use a library called Moment.js to format the date. Something like that. We have the coordinates. We can add one column to organize by category. So we have 3 keys by ID. What I call system control is status, these Booleans. We have something related to dates. We have something related to geolocation. We have information about the user profile, and so on and so forth. So we can organize stuff as much as you want. In any case, let's continue. Let's go with the next topic. The next topic will be, so as you can see, if you spend hours making the search bar, well, as you can see in the case study, there is no search bar at all in the project. If you wanted to do a search bar to improve your project further, congratulations, that's super cool. But that will be after the optional task. So first you finish your mandatory task, then you finish the optional task that the client required. And then if you want to do something extra, like for example, Nicolas do a filter function, okay, that's super cool. But if Nicolas didn't finish this element and he says, oh, sorry, I was doing the filter, my answer as a client is, that's not my problem, that's your problem. Because first finish this, then finish this, and then if you have time, okay, do the filter, that's super cool. I actually like it, it's an amazing feature. And if you want to do the same thing with the search bar, okay, go ahead. So before I move to the next topic about this one, I will check quickly the chat to see if we're missing something. Okay, even if there is no audio about the video, don't worry. The video only had the ghost making ba. That's, I swear that it sounds like a search bar. So I will put the video later, but there was no important information about the video. Okay, yeah. The maps were something in the middle, like they're super cool to have. But again, finish the mandatory first. You can use a kernel. Oh yeah, you can put. By the way, you can also just copy this in Visual Studio Code. Let me create a new file here. JSON.json. Paste it. save it. It makes me look bad. But actually, the printer plugin actually organized it. I don't know why it's not working right now. But in any case, you can organize it as well in Visual Studio Code. So yeah, super easy. And there are organizers, for example, JSON format online as well. There you go. And you can organize it as well. So yeah, multiple ways. Just it's something about to be curious about this. So intention, Nicolas, that still enjoyable. Let's clear the audio format. The auto format JSON is really cool. Yeah, perfect. So let's continue. Next topic. Load real versus fake data. Okay, this one was actually here. This is the slide. I will send this video with audio after this lecture, don't worry. In any case, load real versus fake data. During the course, we teach about how to import JSON data from the project's files. You know, the import outside the component. And then we also in the second to last lecture we learn how to do in 3 lectures. Yeah, in the second to last lecture we learn how to import data from the Fetch API. So as you can see, let me scratch. And we learn about this similar diagram. So let's go from the beginning. So from left to right, we go to the start. We request the data. The data has a status 0, 1, or 2. But remember that the server can collapse. And in fact, the servers collapse on the very second day. So, but because we know that we can make a diagrams, and now you can see how important the diagrams are. Once you get an error, you can ask another Boolean, hey, are we in a developer mode or not? If the answer is yes, we can work with the backup data. That I think one of the Abbas brothers and cousins, yeah, the Abbas family, let's call it like that, we're speaking about, oh, we can work with mockup data. Yes, you can do that as well. And otherwise, if we are in production, we don't want to show to the client fake data. We want to show the error message. So let's test it out, this one right now. So by the way, this is not any new concept that we learn. It's just how to take the ideas that we learn and combine them in new ways to make something new. So let's see this in code. So I will go to the main page. Let me go to, just let me cancel the changes here, just so we can go back to the app. Sorry, app, this one. Perfect. So let me go to the app and let me see this diagram into code. So in the YouTube project, we learn how to load the data from a JSON file. So first things that I do as a developer, as soon as I open this API in the very first day, I don't know if the company is sending me this JSON to me, only to me, to me, or to multiple developers. And I don't know who's gonna crash the server. So the first thing that I do, this is not something that I've been told in the computer science school or whatever, but this is something that I do for myself. Just in case the servers can go down. I come from to a shitty country called Ecuador where the internet goes down all the fucking time. So I don't know I don't know if the internet is gonna go down. I don't want to lose time just because there is no internet. So the first step I do is always save this information as backup.json. And then I can import it in the project. I have a folder called data, and I set the backup orders.json. So, and I can see well organized here. So the first thing is I import the backup just in case, but I don't want to work all the time with the backup. I only want to work with the backup if there is a problem in the server. So just in case, I will create a new variable called debug mode. If it's false, if it's true and the servers collapse, I will use the backup data. If not, and the servers collapse, I will showcase the error message because yes, in production, I don't want in production, I want the information to fail. That's an okay state. So let's test it out this. Let me start the project. It says that it's compiled already. Perfect. So localhost. And this loads. Perfect. I think let me just change the API to, for example, something else to force it to break. Changing the URL will force it to crash the server, So let's test it out. And I say, oh, there is an error. We cannot get your information, your packages. Please check the internet connection. So this simulates that somebody crossed the servers, but we want to keep working on that in any case. So let's try to do this one, put it on true. I will reload the page, and I can see the information. And as you can see, something that always happens in the real one, each time that I reload the page, the store changes. You can see linked list, but if I reload the page, it says your bridge. If I reload the page, it says Jassy. If I reload the page, it says SnapText. But if I go to the, I go to the backup, I change the URL to simulate the crash. If I go to the backup is always the same. So as you can see the diagram again, there was no excuse to crash the server. That's why I left that everybody shared the same server. That being said, I was surprised that you managed to crash a paid server in less than 3 hours. So that was a record, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, but something important. Let's go back to the code. As you can see, I'm not teaching new code, new concepts. You know how to create booleans. You know how to import a JSON from your files, and you know how to do the fetch API. You just need to see this the only changes here in the on fail. On the on fail, you have an if statement. If it is debug mode, if we are in debug mode, you can see that I'm setting the data to my backup JSON and set the status to 1 to continue the application. If we are not in debug mode, we say set the status to 2, and status to 2 showcase the error message. So this is not new concepts. We are not teaching new React concepts. We are not teaching new JavaScript concepts. This is an if statement. It's everything that you just learned, just implemented in a new way. So it's a little bit in ingenuity, just to be creative, to how to solve a problem in crisis. During a crisis, you don't say, "Oh no, the service is crashed. I cannot work. I will just keep until tomorrow." No, it's okay. The servers are down. What I can do to continue working? And I remember that one of the ABAs even shared and I think Fiona also shared the JSON. So it's up to you to actually implement this kind of hacks you want, because you can call it a hack or whatever. But the thing is, I call it is just I will not let that the server being down will stop my progress. You can still continue. It's just all how to piece together a nice solution to solve the problem. Let me just before I move to the next topic, let me see the chat. Perfect, amazing, thank you. But I saw some projects that I actually put a partial. I wanted to fail them, but I put a partial because they were only working with the mockup. They were not. They were never working with the real API. So that's why, Nicholas, I say, if everybody was having a similar solution to this one, I would have skipped this topic. But I have two students that I lowered the grade because they were only working with the backup. They were not working with the fetch API. So the perfect solution was to work with both and automatically say this element based on the server are up or down. If the servers are down, we go to the backup or otherwise. But two people, at least the people that I review, they were only working with the backup, and that's wrong because the backup doesn't have the real information, because the real information, as you can see, sorry, this is the fake information. The real information, the stores and the dates change on every page reload. So let's continue. Next topic.
Just on that, Eduardo. And normally, just for some extra stuff, the node can pick up if it's
localhost,
production or localhost.
Yes, I actually was saying.
Yeah, so
I didn't want to.
Yes, okay. Because I was going to say I had left the logic in to basically then it switched between the two. But if I was going to a production environment, I would have used the production code, because they're
Yeah, no,
still running on
100,
localhost.
100%. Yes.
Okay.
The only reason that I didn't use, by the way, I use the local host in my real place because I always forget to switch the Boolean. The reason that I wanted to do it without the local host is because I didn't want to, as I mentioned, we don't need to add anything new to your learning career to wherever you already learn in the SDA. So, but yes, you can go one level further and add the local host. So something
Okay.
for the rest, you can research about what is this local host. But long story short, Node can detect if you are working in your local server or if you're working on a real external server, that is the real production server. Based on that, basically it's the same thing, just automatically switch the variable from true to false based on that. So you don't need to do the variable manually, but you need to learn about that. So, but yeah, you can do it, and you can go one step further. So yeah, you can do that. In any case, let's go to the next one. It's called component modularization. Many projects that I review, I'm happy to report that people create components for each element. I'm so happy for that. But if some page fail to be modular, real modular, was the order detail page. Which page? I mean this one. Oh, finally, a really good nice map. Finally, when I don't need it anymore. In any case, let's go to this page. Oh, by the way, let me showcase the diagram of the app. This is probably useful for you guys. So this is how I actually make the diagram. First, you have the app GSX. This one loads the data. And then let me show you in the code, the app. Oh, let me put it side by side. Yeah, much better, side by side. So this one, side by side. So app GSX loads the app data. And if the data is loaded, we put the switch components there and we pass the data as props because we want to switch back and forth between the list and the details without reloading the page. So we passing the data as a prop here. Then in the home page, we can see the cards array with the cards. Sorry, let me go back. These ones are in the package detail. We can see the map is loading. Give it some time. Is the map, the order details, and the back button. There you go. This is super populated. Now I have better maps now. So you can see the app diagram. So you can see this is why it's so important because it allows you to organize super easily. That's why you have some pages that first you need to do a search. Then you need to see a list and then you need to click up. So it was super disorganized. The code was good, but the organization was a little bit chaotic. It was a mess, to be honest. I will not put it like that. By making this diagram, that's why it's so important to the diagrams. But anyways, let's continue to the next topic. Component modularization. So okay, let's go to the switch loaded, and we can see the switch loaded has two pages. The home that receives the data as well as a prop, and the order detail as a prop. And let's open this order detail and let's focus on this one. So in this one is where you put all the data and the map based on the coordinates, the GPS coordinates. And this is where I can see that some students make the entire page a super monolithic page. And what I mean by that is like, for example, you have the header. Let me put it side by side. You have this header for the ordering information. Then you have the mandatory fields. What I mean by mandatory fields are this one. And sometimes you see this empty space because some fields appear sometimes and sometimes they don't appear. The nodes didn't appear all the time. So I call them mandatory fields and then optional fields. But as you can see, I need to put comments. And the problem is that you can see you have this field here, this field here, this field here. And there is too much code. Look, it's 100 lines of code just to do this. So the first thing that I can do is refactor this component. I can refactor this component. I will not do it right now because it takes time, but you can refactor this element and I will create a component called data field. And data field receives two props. It's crashing, of course, it's crashing because this component doesn't exist. And this component will have as a label, two props, one label And then the label will be this text. This is the text of the translation, and I will explain it in a while. And then the description, the information itself, will be the description, something like this. And there you go. So instead of having 4 lines of code, I now have 1 line of code. So I can delete this one, put it here, and I can replace the same information here. There you go, and so on and so forth. So we went from, let me just discard this change. I will send a branch with the change implemented already. So let me go from master to refactor number 1. And you can see, we have the content, the header, the content, the mandatory fields, and we can see the data fields. And we can open this component because now this component exists. And we can see that this component receives the label and the text. And we have this, let me put it side by side. So we have this one that we went from 101 lines of code to only 78. And you can see it looks way cleaner. So let's see the table. So we went from 100 lines of code in the main page to 78 and 9 lines of code here in the new component. The new component, I mean the data field. But we can go one step further because this still is too big. And we can see that, for example, this data is exploded into multiple components. And we can see that most of them are only for this information. So we can actually make this one way cleaner if we just take everything here and move it to another component. So let me call it order information. Oh, sorry, information. And we can pass the selected order, the order, and we say that the order is this prop, the selected order. Selected order. And you can see that this field disappeared, this field disappears. They are you can see that they are gray, are darker purple than this purple. That means that they are not used anymore here. So you can see that the project goes way lower. So let me discard this one and see the finalized refactor. So in the refactor number 2, this is the page. Let me close this one. Now, this is the same page refactor. We went from 100 lines of code to 78 to just 39. Look how clean it is. We have the npm packages, the link and the params for the reading the variable from the URL, the translation that was optional, and I will go cover in a moment. The map is in my project file, and we'll explain it. The order information is this new component, and this new component, look, it's the same information, but now it looks way cleaner, and I can read it super easily. It fits on the screen. Look how important it fits on the screen. Remember the template guideline that I told you about. It's called learning package articles. Is this one? Remember this one that says that you should have a, to be honest, it should be 12. Let me just put 10 here. My bad, it's 12 in total, 10 plus 2 lines. So let me see how many lines do we have here. From line 32 to line 23. 32 minus 23. So we have 9 lines. Perfect, we fit the criteria. It looks super clean, and this information is abstracted. And is now here, the main page has, let me see, from line 37 to line 23. There are 14. So we are actually just out by 2. We can actually fix it by just removing these spaces. So now let me try again. We say 35 minus to line 23. We have 12. Just like this. Perfect, we fit the criteria. But I prefer to put this space because it looks way cleaner this way. So I prefer to break my own rule because I think that this looks cleaner. So look, it looks super clean, sorry. Looks super clean. So as you can see, you can refactor a lot. So okay, we went from 100 lines without extra components to 2 components and the main page went to 78 lines. And then in the second refactor, we create another component, so 3 components in total: the page, the order detail, and the order detail has the data field for only the text fields. And we went to 39 lines here and 43 here. So in total, 82. So even if the difference is not that big from 100 lines in total to 82, the information is spread out quite evenly. So it's easier to organize. So now you can see this diagram and you can see how it behaves. So we have the ordered page that has a map. The order details is this left panel. And then this left panel in turn is divided from this field, and this field, and so on and so forth. And the more items that we have here in this panel, the better for us this refactor becomes, because it's less lines that we need to take care of. So super important. So okay, let's move to the next topic, the map component. There is multiple libraries that you can use. I'm personally using one called Leaflet. Let me see it. This is my order detail page. And my map component is one component. It's an abstraction of that receives the coordinates. By the way, a nice trick is these coordinates in the JSON are super long. I really hate that it takes this much space. So I can create an alias to say a shorthand. Instead of using this one and this one that forces the page to go to the next line, I can create here latitude. So with this, we can use this one here, sorry, latitude, to make it shorter. In any case, let's open this map component, and I'm using this library called React Leaflet. So, let me open my README, by the way, so we can see more about this information. Open preview. So this is the real blah, blah, blah. And these are the dependencies that I mentioned. I mentioned a leaflet for the map handling. So we can open this leaflet. So this is a JavaScript library for React for handling maps. But because we told you about that, React has everything. So you can literally write something, for example, leaflet, React, and there is a React component for that. So you can just go directly and copy this line of code, and it probably would work. I know that I think it was Fiona that had a problem with that. When we did the training with the TAs, we installed a new version of the map, and this version is a little bit older, so the syntax is not the same. But we solved it with the TAs. I don't remember what was the problem, but by just a couple of Google searches, we just managed to do it. But in any case, the marker is just a component that you need to import. You import the map itself, the marker, and this one is for optimization. So the map is the parent component that wraps everything. This is the map itself, and this is the ping, the icon that puts in the middle of the map. So yeah, and this code is already on the SDA platform, by the way, so you can check it out in details. And let's move to the next one. Before, let me check the chat. I could not fit like the list icon to display already under. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, in the new version, the code base is changed. We have the same problem with the TAs when we were training to review this project. We did a boot camp around February at the end of January before the SDA started. And we encountered a similar problem. I don't remember if it was the same problem, but we managed to fix it. So yeah, it's possible to fix it anyways. But yeah, you can check the solution here and compare notes. But remember that my package is a different version than yours. I'm using this version, Leaflet 1.6 and React Leaflet 2.7. But anyway, let's continue. And I will have a session for questions at the end, don't worry. So the next topic, okay, the translation. It was optional, but let's check it out. Let me see. Okay, so there is a library called, package.json. There is a library called EX18Next. So how do I do that? So let me Google. I know this is the name, but how the hell I will write this name if I don't never know it? So I will write how to translate React apps. First result. There you go. It says there is a library called ES618. Now that I have this name, 18, yeah, I can just go back and Google and find the official page and read about it. There you go. So you can see that you don't need this name to reach to how to translate an app. I just literally said how to translate React apps. And I did this, by the way, for real, when I encountered this problem for the first time in my life. So no excuse not to complete the optional requirement. But anyways, let's see how it is installed. You install this library, follow this tutorial, by the way. Literally, you follow this tutorial. But in any case, let me just go super quickly. So you have one JSON file for all the text. Let me open the app. Let me go here. This one is gonna crash. Just give me 1 second. Let me go to the beginning. There you go. So you extract all the information. For example, this text is hard coded by you. So let me go back to the detail pages, for example. Let me open this English side by side with the order details. Order details page, order detail. No, this one is true. Oh no, let me go back to the on refactor one. Discard changes. Let me go to the page that is not refactored at all, so we can see it side by side. Let me open order detail side by side. And you can see this weird T. Let me just go back to location. So in here, this is the location. If I say hello, let me just go here. This is the detail page. Oh, we're in the real web page. Let's go here to this one. You say hello here. You can see hello. In here, you say location. You said store location, store name. No, store location. Yeah, location. 2 columns. And you say store location. So instead of having hard code in text in English, you cut it, and you create a JSON. And this JSON is, for example, this is the order detail page. And you can see the labels, location. And instead of saying store location, sorry, instead of saying location here, sorry, location, here, you cut it and put it here. And you call it then using this, navigating this element. And you were learning the tutorial about I18, how to do it. But long story short is you call a variable from them called T. And inside T, I'm sorry, let me just wrap it up. You create the curly braces for the React variable. And inside here, you say T. And then you navigate this JSON file. And this JSON file, it says detail view. So you say detail view. Detail view. And then the drill down to say enter detail view, you say 2 columns. And then you say enter the folder called labels, because these are the labels that you see in the page. You say labels. And then you find one called location. Location. So instead of writing the text here, you will drill down this JSON, and you can see that the Swedish one do exactly the same. I will put it here side by side to comparison. So you can see that it has the same. The keys are in English because we use this one as a standard language, but then the labels you say different text. And by the way, they are exactly the same. 37 lines, 37 lines. So, and then we have we change the language here, but where do we change the language? We change the language in this particular button. So let's go to the logic of this button. This button, and we go back to, by the way, I follow the tutorial just like you probably can do, you did as well. So let me go to my component, the header, the navigation bar, sorry, and have a local state that decides that if we're in English or in Swedish. And based on this button, on click, I change the language. And based on the language, we say, if the language is in English, we switch to Swedish, and we say the local or local language change to English, so we can change the flag. We use the local variable for the flag here on the top left, and then we have a global variable using the I18 the A18 library, and this one has its own state called and you change it to SE. So with this one, you change the global data of the A18 library, and inside each page, we call this one, we use with this syntaxis, the T for translation, use translation. You can see there is a hook, and this hook is connected to this element. So no matter where I change the language will switch, and the switch is all about this particular, JSON. With this, you can actually have, I remember in the previous iteration, somebody actually have 5 languages, were Spanish, English, Swedish, French, and honestly, I don't remember, it was Belgian, the last language. I honestly don't remember, but it was 5 languages. But instead of having a toggle switch, he actually implemented a drop-down menu, with all the languages available, but it's the same functionality, just a little bit more code base. So, okay, that will be it. We finish in 45 minutes. And remember that, let me share the screen once again, since Friday, you can access the code. If you enter to the front-end module, it's here, package tracker. It was on Friday. I hope that somebody actually took the time to check it out. So you can go to the repo and check it out if you want. Yeah.
Eduardo, for the I18 library, do you only make 2 files?
Sorry,
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, in the I18 library, do you only make 2 files? So like English and Swedish, like that. You don't.
Okay.
You don't
there is a setup file.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is a setup file. Sorry, my bad. You're right. There is a setup file. Sorry, it's called this one, 18AS. So, okay, thank you so much. But by the way, this information is the tutorial, in the tutorial that is here. I will not even share the link because I literally show you there is one good query away. But okay, I forgot to mention one file. You need to set up to tell the machine where are these translation files. So this is my setup file, and it says I import 818. I install the React component, and then I import my Swedish and my English files. And I create an object called resources that says, these are my languages available. And then with that, I say A18, use React elements. So we know that React has access to the hook. Remember the hook, the T hook, the user translation hook. And then we say initialize, and initialize, we pass the languages available. That is my object called resources. Remember, you don't need to create a separate variable. You just can pass an object inside an object. But this is so messy, man. Don't pass an object inside an object. So create a variable called resources and then pass it in. And then you say which one is the default language. If you switch this one to Swedish, my application, each time I reload the page, will default to Swedish. And this will, because it's connected to my button, the button will also switch to Swedish. It's an amazing thing. And this is our more information that you can read the documentation of React initialization to explain what they do, but I have some comments to what they do in any case. So yeah, it's all about reading the documentation. I didn't know that this library existed at all, nor I didn't know that there was a React plugin to use hooks, to use React hooks inside the React to connect I18. And it was literally a Google search, how to translate React applications. And it worked on the first try, so I use this library. Probably there are more libraries, probably some are easier, but this was the first Google resource, so I went with this one. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So now we can enter the questions of rounds of questions. So okay, we have 11 minutes for questions. So my last chat was, you can ask any question right now. So let me read the chat. The 4 hours, if we don't receive the feedback yet. Okay, if you didn't get the feedback, it should be by today at the end of the day. That's unfortunately 23 hours, 59 minutes. If you don't get anything by tomorrow, write me and I will check with the TA. So there you go. Okay, Olga, go ahead.
Can I ask you to go to browser to your application?
The browser. Okay, let's go to the browser. No problems. And yes, you can ask.
Yeah.
You even
If you go to the detail card of the some parcel and reload the page, what will happen with this?
Sorry, can you go to the question? Can you do the question again? Sorry.
No, I need to see the application on browser if I can.
On the web.
Yeah.
This is the browser.
If you reload page now, what happened with the application?
If I reload the page right now, yeah. Because the IDs are regenerated at random, it will fail.
Yeah.
It will fail.
Oh,
But if I
need to fix this, maybe practices of this.
Okay, yeah, I will explain how to do it because it can be done. Yeah. First of all, if I go with the backup data, by the way, if you go to the backup data, the data hard coded, so it will not fail. But the question is what to do in this case if the information fails. And just let me open the backup data just so to highlight how we can make it that doesn't fail, and then we'll explain how to fix it anyways. So let me just go to true. So I will fail again. Let me go back to the order. So we know that we're in the backup because it always says Sunlit. I open Sunlit, it's order 3179. If I reload, it works. Now, you have an amazing question. What happens if you go to this one and it fails? What can happen? Let's say that the user was searching for an order and he's saving in his bookmarks the order, and for some reason the order was picked up already and it's deleted from the database from the client. So the second time that he opens it, it fails. The solution for this one, it was not necessary for this exercise, by the way. I didn't implement it. I still got the offer, by the way. I picked one game development company in Malmo. Anyways, because within this company and the game company, yes, game company, no questions asked. Of course, game company. I will pick the game company. I picked the game company. But in any case, let's go to the page, the order. This is the lines code that is breaking. You receive the, let me go to the app and let me do the drill down. We go to the switch loaded. The switch loaded has the route and you can see the order and the parcel ID. The problem is that this order ID 3179, when I go to this one, select order, this select order is in the entire array. Let me go to the switch loader. Yeah, let me go to the beginning. We know that we have this variable, this here. This variable is right now is 7971. Perfect. We pass the entire JSON data from the web or from the backup here. So we go to the order detail. I will put it in the next page in the side by side. So we know that we receive from here, from this page, we receive the entire JSON. And in the entire JSON, we are saying, find the order where the parser ID equals the one received in the variable that is, remember, 7179. If we don't find it, this find, so if we find it, let's say, if we find it, comma, selected order equals 79, blah, blah, blah. Let's say this name. Else, selected order equals null. And this is what is breaking, because in the next line of code, we do the destructuring. What is the destructuring? We are saying, please, this is oh, sorry, the selected order is an object with ID 79, blah, 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 name Eduardo, John Doe, blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. And the next line of code is the structuring of this object, but selected order is not an object, it's null. And you cannot explode a null object. Thus, the application crashes. How to fix it? Simple. Instead of doing this structuring here, this code of here, you can use a use effect hook. It's not for navigating the web. No, not at all. Remember that if we actually if we open the Dep2 articles, I mentioned something about this Dep2. You go here to the dashboard. This is extra. This is something not expected by this application. But let's go here to the next article. This one. The next one is the next article was server state. There you go. And I said it's not the only use, but it's the most important one. In this case, we use the use effect hook, and insert here we say selected order is this. We also need to create a local state. Remember the status, local state, and we're going to say const status, set status equal use state 0 load 0 is loading, loading 1 is loaded, 2 is error. Perfect. And you're probably gonna see where I'm going. So you create this one here, and then you try to do the you're gonna say if selected order not null, set the status to, sorry, we need another variable, just like with the order, set order. I will say use state. We know that it's an object, so we're gonna say set the status to 1 to load it, and let's say set order to selected order, because we know that it's not null. Else set the status to 2, because we cannot set information to the object. We start with the empty object here, and now here in the return, we can put multiple returns here. We can put a return here, for example, return, and we say return. Well, you remember the returns. You can refactor here a little bit. Let me just put it here. We can refactor everything here to another element, to another component. Let's say components, and say loaded component. Loaded components will be this this code. I know that I'm making a mess right now, but we're gonna do the same thing. Status 0. We say p loading. Blah blah blah. Status 1. Status 1. We load this component that is the entire page. We can refactor even more. I just make it quickly. And status 2, we show a P saying sorry, this ID, and we have the ID anyways. The ID comes from the variable. Remember that this ID doesn't exist. This ID, parcel ID, doesn't exist. And there you go.
Eduardo,
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't mean to derail you, but isn't the error just solely got to do with the fact that React App is a single page application, and you can't you can't refresh the route that's not from the index because it loads from your JavaScript. So basically, when you try and refresh on the route, it crashes because it hasn't loaded from index, and that's why it's crashing. And it's got nothing to do with the package.
No, it has to do with the package, because remember here, we are not mounting the component. Let's go to, we are in app ESX. Here, we are not mounting the component, and the component has the home page and the detail page. So even if you are opening the URL, the router doesn't exist just because we are still loading. So it doesn't exist yet. And as soon as it's loaded, the information is loaded, the router is mounted.
But if you route straight to the component, it's never loaded because the page is never loaded. So if you go index/root, it doesn't route through the page. Isn't it that the problem is you haven't loaded the index page first?
let me see if I can follow your train of thought. I'm okay if I have an
So
error.
so if you just refresh it, the error that comes up basically is that it's the index page has not loaded. It's like a 404 not
Okay,
loaded or something.
let me just refactor. Let me just discard the changes. See, it may be okay. Don't worry. I'm okay if that's the error. So let me go to the refactor one because it's easier to debug this one. So let me go to this one, and we're gonna open both app, and then in app we're gonna open the order details. So we're gonna have these two pages open, and let's see the error. It's probably it can be your thing. So just let me go to the localhost.
Just 1 second.
Let me just open exit.
Yeah, so you would need to.
Yeah, let me open. I will test it right now. Ignore this message. So let me open this one. We are in the. Yes, let me check. Yes, we are in the real one that loads the data. We created this ID 5562. Let me reload the page. And no, it's not loading. It's not crashing in the app. It's crashing here because this ID doesn't. We can the React can understand that we can open this URL, and React will wait. Let me go back to the code, and it will wait until this is resolved. Once it's resolved, we're in this page. We navigate to the switch element, and as soon as we mount this component, this one will read the URL and say, "Oh, wait, we are not in the home page. We need to load this component." We go to this element, and we go to this one, and we get the variable, and then it crashes. In fact, if I put a console log here, I will be able to read the variable.
Well, yeah, you'll be able to see it with your default if you're in debug mode, because the data doesn't change. So if it refreshed and crashed, then it would be that issue, which it's not, like you said.
No, but remember, we're not in the backup. We are in the
no, I know. I'm saying if you were in the backup, it wouldn't crash.
Oh yeah, in the backup will not crash. Yes, indeed.
Yes, which means it's not a problem with the routing, like you said.
So yeah, but for that one, and that's a nice topic. The next element, that this is totally optional. This is only where they were talking about unit testing. So if you want to go to the unit testing, we are, by the way over the time. So if you want to drop out anybody, you're welcome. But if you just want to learn more on your own, let me see. Oh, I think I deleted the branch. I'm so clumsy. Let me see. A master components. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I deleted I have a table with the components that to test. I have the actually spread the paper, but you probably don't understand it. But let's write them down super quick. So the things that you need to test if you want to test this application is fetch the server. This is a breaking point. Breaking point number 2 is that the order ID doesn't exist. So you can do a unit testing for this to check that you can give them if you know that the order ID are 4 digits, you can pass one on purpose with just 3 digits to force a crash. So this is another unit testing. Another unit testing is that the coordinates are not GPS coordinates. So the map's coordinates aren't floats. In JavaScript, everything is a number, but you know there are type float. So you can check if there are a string or something else. You need to check and showcase, sorry, we cannot load the map because the coordinates are incorrect. The same with the date. The date in the case, remember, the date can be null, and you need to deal with that. So the date cannot be parsed, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is the test scenarios if you want to do it. So sad that I created a new branch and I overwrite the spreadsheet. So yeah, that was a huge mistake on my side. I need to create this again. So, but in any case, this is the information that you need. So, but no, wonderful question, Nicholas, because it forces us to actually go to the entire tech stack. And I like that because it forces us to think. So, okay, more questions like that, please. Next one. It says revert. Yeah, hey, it appeared magically. Perfect. So this is the case scenario you need to see. obtain orders, fetching information from the server. Positive scenario, you can load it or you cannot load it. You need to test both.
Eduardo,
You
you're
don't-
not sharing the screen anymore.
I always forget about that. Thank you.
We
Yeah.
was missing that.
Yeah. So okay, I managed to revert to the correct branch, and this one has the spreadsheet. So this is the beautiful table that you learned to the software engineering module. That for some reason you probably spend more time figuring out the case study itself instead of making the table, because this is the thing that you need to learn, to be honest. So you can see my functional requirements. Functional requirement number one is I need to list to obtain the order to list the orders. My second functional requirement is validate the orders. My third one is to be able to navigate between the list and the details, and so on and so forth. And for each one, I wrote a scenario, positive and a negative one. So the positive is that I can fetch the data from the server. The negative one is that I cannot fetch it, and so on and so forth. And if you do this unit testing, you can skip the debug variable. That was a thing just for this particular exercise, and so on and so forth. So yeah, and yes, I need to write this one. I just was lazy. I didn't want to write this. So yep, and that's it. So more questions. Go ahead. I need more optional lectures. Yes, we definitely need more of these ones. Enchilio, go ahead.
Hey, this is like maybe more of an interview related question, but I noticed you use like the similar Instabox branding, and would you like recommend trying to replicate their brand when you're doing something like this, or you don't think it matters? Or
I do believe that it matters. Yeah, definitely. For the people, remember that by mistake I showcased the real project case study, but it's the same text, by the way. Well, anyways, let's go to Instabox, and this is how I got the branding, the colors. You can see the same toolbar, red one. I just changed the logo type. I added a drop shadow. No, yeah, this is the same drop shadow. Look at, there you go. Okay, my drop shadow is a bit darker. You know, it's just 5 hours. Like, it's really freaking hard to manage to polish every single detail in just 5 hours. So yeah, I didn't manage to get the exact shade of the drop shadow, but who cares? And the similar font is really similar. They have an italic font. I don't have an italic font, but I actually got the same pink. I just make a screenshot. In Figma, you just use the pencil tool to check this color, and this pink is the same pink here, and this black, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I will 100% recommend. I didn't do the buttons equally identical. This one has a nice hover effect. Mine is just a simple black and white. So yeah, I didn't have time to do the hover. So instead of that, I just did this one and then become white. Very similar enough. So yeah, I would recommend that.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Of course, yes, do it. More questions? Your hands are still raised up, or you probably have another question. I don't know. Yeah, go, Nicholas.
No, I was just gonna say just a little catch with recoil that we got was the recoil loads. I think it's synchronously, and so when you're trying to fetch data, you have to use different recoil methods. But there's a whole bunch of documentation on recoil. It can do a lot more than, like, it handles errors and error handling and everything that I have to do.
Yeah, Recall is amazing. In fact, it actually have something called, I don't remember, it's called selectors, and selectors are super cool. Selector basically is sometimes you're working with an array, and you always want just a particular item. Let's say you have 10 students, and you're working with the profile of Nicholas, and Nicholas is the student number 7 ID. And instead of making the find or the filter and so on and so forth, each time that you make you change from 7 to 8, for example, to load the profile of Enchiliu, the selector automatically, as soon as you change the ID 7 to 8, it will automatically run the find, filter, blah blah blah, and it's called a selector. So you can just call active student, and it will do the filter thing, blah blah blah. So it's amazing. Yeah. Recall is amazing, but I didn't use Recall at all for this project, by the way. It's not necessary. You just pass props, like I mentioned, from the app to the switch component, and from the switch component to the home page or the detail page. And that's the 3 levels deep that I mentioned, that if you need more, you probably need a global state management library or flatten your hierarchy. One of the tips from the Chibi Godzilla. So yeah, but yeah, nice. Yeah, Recall is amazing. I have a lot of documentation. Yeah. And a lot, not a lot of documentation. Yes, you have a lot of documentation, but I have amazing tricks that it makes worthwhile to read the documentation. So, okay, more questions. I will stay until nobody makes comments. No, I did everything by scratch. Yeah. Do you use old projects to make it this faster? No, I've been using CSS for, well, I'm 38. I started to make web pages. I don't remember, but 20 something, 20. Okay, I remember that by 23, I saw a project so big that I actually, no, I will not say money. Don't worry, I don't want to brag. But yeah, by 23, I already make a web pages. So I probably have more than 11 years of making web pages. So yeah, for me, CSS is super fast. And let me share the screen for one more time. If you use a library I don't use pure CSS, I use Sass. Just look at the whole clean, the variable page works here. And remember that in the optional lecture, I spoke about functions. So yeah, I even have functions. So I can make the process super fast. So yeah, yeah. So I don't hate CSS, but it's because I have so many years of experience. Like, and this is the point I remember saying on Wednesday. If you don't manage to do the 5 hours, it's okay. You're learning. And I'm happy to report that you write good React code. The only thing that I saw missing was because of the lack of the diagrams. Some people still don't know how to organize the project in the macro way. But that's something that you will learn on your own by making projects. So don't worry about that. I'm 34, not 38, but no, it's okay. No, but yeah, it's just, I always do my CSS by scratch. Even in the SDA platform, is done by scratch. So yeah, but it's only because I'm used to that. But if you watch the one optional video in the spreadsheet called recommended content, Google has like a 10 minutes about layouts with CSS Grid. So you can make this super quickly just by using Grid. So it doesn't take that long, by the way. So yeah. More questions?
Eduardo,
Yep.
do you have any recommendation? Like, for example, when you see some design and you want to copy it, and is this a fast way that we can do it? Like, for example, checking inspect on the browser, that we can
Yes, you can do
copy.
that.
Okay. Is there any other ways to do?
For example, let me share the screen because I forgot to share the screen. Of course, let me open Instabox, the real one. No, this is Instagram. No, Instabox. Ayo. You can right click and you can see the colors, for example. By the way, I think I even installed the fonts, by the way. Yeah, I installed the fonts, by the way. Please don't do this for a commercial project. So buy your fonts. There are people working hard to make fonts. I only do it just to make the design exactly the same as them. So don't steal fonts. This was only to make the IDE perfectly. And then I remember stealing this squishy line. This one, yeah. I use this squishy line. Where is the squishy line? Where is this squishy line? Huh. Well, there is a squishy line around here somewhere. This one. I use it to separate the elements. So I use that element. Around here is the logo from Instabox. So yeah, I use the real project. In the real one, I send Instabox instead of Realbox. Realbox is the variation that I did because in the previous iteration, I managed to don't reveal the real client. I mess it up here. So you know it's Instabox, but yeah, in the real one, I even copied the same logo type. What else? And the reason that I put the logo, the change button here in the top right is because they have it here as well. So yeah, I copied the interface. And I did, by the way, I did the design in Sketch. Design here, I think it's this one. I hope that is this one. So yeah, this is all the components. You can see this is the component in the desktop and the mobile version, the flags. I never had the time to translate it in Spanish because I didn't have time in the 5 hours. I didn't have time to make the drop-down menu to say. I say, you know what? It's a if else, and I stay with 2 languages. So even I didn't have time to put everything that I wanted to do in the 5 hours limit. But yes, it's this, that, and then there you go. This is design. So yeah. So yeah, I hope. Yeah, go ahead, continue.
Can you show again in the browser that you have some save file? I mean on phones or Imagine. How did you save or organize there?
The fonts. How do I organize the fonts? Let me show. I share on the screen, right? So yeah, this is my project organization. Okay, good question. So I have my folder called assets, and here I have the fonts, and this is the fonts that I download from Instabox, and then this is my folder images. I can open the image folder here to actually see the images better. Deb, front-end module, Instabox, Realbox, sorry, assets, images, and then this is my squishy line that you saw that I got it from Instabox.
Okay.
This is the mapping. I just downloaded a mapping and just quickly color it. Due to time, I forgot to change the color of the border. This is not black. This is dark blue. I didn't have time. Remember, 5 hours. So you really need to do stuff fast. So I will probably, with more time, I will put it in black. And this is the flag from English and Swedish. So yeah.
Oh, so you took the screenshot and you checked the color and
yeah, I took a screenshot. So for example, I actually have the screenshot here, and then I put it in Sketch, and then I create my color palette. In fact, you can see my color palettes here. I think, yeah, you can see my colors here. These are the colors for Instabox.
Okay. Okay,
including the black, because I never use black, pure black. I use a dark brown, like make it more friendly. So yeah, and I have my fonts here, styles. So this is the font, the title for the mobile and the title for the desktop. So yeah, and this is the text for the button and so on and so forth. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, this design, I didn't count this design in the 5 hours of the project, by the way. I only counted the Git repository. Well, yeah, because I think that I will eat half of the budget here. So yeah, I don't count the design and I only counted the code base in the Git repository. Let me check the chat. Where to find good courses in React, TypeScript, Sass? TypeScript, in plural site, I'll send a link on Friday. Sass, the official web page of this Sass is so good that you don't need a tutorial for that. Just read the web page. It's not that complicated. And for React, you want to learn more React? At this stage, based on what I saw from you guys, I think that more than learning React, you need to learn more about project organization. Project organization, I mean this. This is not optional, guys. This is really important. This separates the projects that were good just by pure chance to the projects that were good because they were really well organized. And to React, I will say the official React documentation is amazing. This is the main concepts. Introduction to JSX, rendering elements. Complete this. Do more exercise based on coding interviews. Apply for React coding interviews. Don't be afraid to fail because you are learning. Mentalize that you are learning. So get projects from clients. Try to solve them. If you solve it, you probably get even an offer. But if you fail, you get feedback. So you will learn what you fail and how to improve it, and apply for another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, until you start to get more and more offers. So, and then you can start checking the advanced concepts, code splitting, fragments. So that's why I didn't teach about fragments. Somebody, I think it was Lubot, that was speaking about this, the famous diamond sign, that is just empty component, this one. I didn't want to teach it because it's considered an advanced concept. Then you have portals. That is for portals are for making pop-ups. Profiler is for debugging. Blah 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 blah. More concepts, and then you have the testing. Concurrent mode that is for informing performance. This is an experimental, and so on and so forth. So yeah, the official React documentation. Go, Nicholas.
How good were the students with the HTML semantic tags though? Because it was quite interesting to see. Did the guys use the headers, footers, sections?
The ones I review were quite fine.
Okay.
I will not say 100%, but I will say around 85. So no, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, because it's quite easy to lose your way with it. You know, to forget about it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting to see.
Yeah. In fact, that's so important, Nicholas. Thank you. So that I create a disclaimer. By the way, you will have a project on what they say, right? In the backend. I create a disclaimer over there about this is not my HTML. I make a diagram for you so you can understand the project a little bit better. But I put a disclaimer that I didn't write this CSS, this HTML, by the way. So yeah, you will see what I mean by then. So yeah, but yeah, I'm happy to report that people did a good job on that. I forgot to add it in the slides. Yeah, something to consider. It was really good. Good HTML. Thank you. Yeah, I was happy. Not perfect, but good enough to include it. And for Learn project organization, what kind of resources are you looking for? Okay, I cannot force you to buy something, but this book is really good. It's called The Pragmatic Programmer. There you go. I know that it's flipped, but it's called The Pragmatic Programmer. The Pragmatic Programmer. It will teach you the values. There is code here, and it's in Java, so it's easy for you guys to understand it. But it's not about coding. It doesn't teach you, oh, we're gonna do a to-do list. No. It teaches you how to have a mentality of always refactor your projects. It's called something that Steve Jobs says about craftsmanship. So let's say this one, by the way. Let me discard these changes. Due to the time limitation, okay, I don't know what is this. Due to the time limitations, this was the details page that I delivered, by the way. In the real 5-hour limitation, I delivered this page. Well, let me see what page is here. Remember that I told you about one topic. Let me just go to the master. And in the master, I told you, don't do this. This is a soup. And I saw a lot of this in the project, by the way. That's why I put it in my topic. I see a lot of repetition. So I will refactor and I deliver this to the Instabox people. I create the component. But with more time, I will sit down and say, I still see a lot of repetition. I can go one level further. So due to lack of time, due to the extremely low hour, I was not able to reach this level. But this is the level that I always force myself that I don't stop until the code works. No, for me, like, let me just use the graphic design. So I know, unfortunately, right now in your mentality, and this is something that you need to change. I will take time, don't worry, it will take time. And everybody has this evolution. For you, a project is done 0% and 100%. Let me just zoom a little bit. 100%. For you, the bar goes from 0 to 100% by answering one question. Does the code work? For you right now in this stage, I know that you're doing in your mind, you're doing this. The code works. If the answer is no, it's 0%. If the code is kind of working, 25. The code is almost there, 60%. If the code works, it's 100%. For me, does the code work is here. For me, the code works is only this. Once I finish making the code work, I refactor to make it compact. Compact, by compact is something like this. Remember, look at this order page. It fits on the screen without scrolling. Well, I need to scroll a little bit. Now it fits without scrolling. This is the most refactored version. I didn't deliver this one. But let's go to the one that, to the worst case scenario. So for me, this works, but for me, this is not enough. So I go from, okay, save as. The problem is that we are trying to refactor the branch. So once the code is running, I'm not finished. This is just literally the beginning. Now that the code is refactored, I say I almost 50% there. This is the 50% barrier. Sorry. You know, 50% here, 50%. No, 50%. The next step is documentation, blah, 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 75. And then it looks pretty. This is my journey. And this is, now I reached 100%. And this is something that that book will help you. And in that sense, you will learn how to be organized and so on and so forth. So yeah. So yeah, nice to that you like that, Marta. Any more questions? I'm happy to hear as many questions as you have. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, because I was wondering how is it with the job vacancies for React, and I looked through, browsed some, and I see that it's often stated that they want React.js and Redux. But I didn't try Redux, but I didn't try Recoil that almost also. So I wondered if it's like, it should be like that. If it says in that, okay, we want it, then they will, like, one can say, okay, but I know Recoil and that's the better, that's now
yeah, good question. We are totally off topic of the React application, but I don't care with that.
Sorry.
No, I don't care. I like these questions. And I think I mentioned this at the end of I really think I mentioned in the last lecture of the front end, but I will repeat it, no worries. I would recommend that switch to finish the SDI module and learn something called the Context API. It's the current official way to handle a global state. Redux is on the decline. Unfortunately, some companies already have the code base in Redux. So you probably need to, if you are really good in context, not in Recoil, in Context API, you will probably get hired anyways. Then the question you will arise, hey, Eduardo, if Context API is really good, like, and you will probably learn it instead of Recoil. The answer is, if I teach about Context API here, we'll need 3 days more in the project. That means that I need to cut something else. So I took the decision to just do Recoil because it's easier. But now that you understand Recoil, if you read the documentation about Context API and you just Google in YouTube Context API, you will see that it's a little bit more boilerplate code, more dips and type dips, blah, 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 but it's not that hard. Then when you master the Context API, if you really need Redux, you will be able to learn Redux. Redux is horrible. You have no idea. Redux has the code base just for having the global state is bigger than the entire code base for the rest of the project. So it's really that bad. So that's why I don't recommend to learn Redux unless, and I know that you can get by in a company just by being really good at the Context API. So that will be my recommendation. Marta?
Okay. But the companies are using Redux, or if the company is using React hooks, they don't use Redux at all, or it's different?
I see a lot of companies putting Redux/Context API in their job search. And I remember asking when I was looking for some recruiters, and I said, I use the Context API, and they say, oh yeah, it's okay. So yeah, unfortunately, let me just go back to this will explain this one perfectly. You don't need the audio, by the way. So somebody said, now instead of saying the SDA developers, we're gonna mock up the recruiters. Recruiter. No, this is the Redux. So somebody now, instead of being you, now is the recruiters. Somebody said Redux, and everybody's doing Redux, putting Redux. But when you ask them in the interviews and you tell them, I know how to use the context API because it's faster, better, blah blah blah, and they say, oh, it's okay, and they don't care. So yeah.
That's good.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I wanted to know.
Yeah,
If one can like, even if it says on Vex, says okay, but I know the better way or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you want to learn Redux for real, just to broaden your to increase your chances, I would really recommend learn Recall first, because that will make the process of learning context API easier. And once you learn the context API, make Redux a little bit easier. I cannot say that context API will make Redux easier, because Redux is really hard. That's why literally Facebook created. By the way, this is part one. That was literally one of the reasons that Vue was killing React in 2018, because people were sick of tired of trying to learn React. That was super hard, and then Redux that is even harder than React. By the way, Vue came with something that is something in the middle between the context API and Recall. Recall, to be honest, is even easier than the approach that Vue uses. But context API is quite close to the Vue approach. That's why Facebook needed to create the context API, because they were losing market share to Vue, because it was a real problem, the Redux thingy. So that's why Facebook created that one. So yeah, go ahead, Jan. Yeah, go ahead.
Was muted. So I mean, in the case study, in the real case, is perspective of the recruiter, how much important about like testing when you do the testing in your, I mean, like in your application?
Just give me 1 second. So take it as you will, but yes, try to do unit testing even after the interview finishes, regardless of you get it or not. Try to practice unit testing is super important. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Can I have another question?
Yeah.
Then like maybe it's out of scope, but about, I mean, like, between the front end developer career and like something like UI UX career, which one have the, I mean, like, okay, let's say in real, I have a higher salary, or would be safer if company have some layoff situation?
I think that the developers have a higher chances to survive a layoff. Why? Simple, because I don't want to be mean to a UX, by the way, people. In fact, I know a little bit about that. But the thing is that in a company, you need to create a product. Let's say the SDA platform. Let's use the SDA platform as a perfect example. First, you need the UX to make the UX people to make the designs, blah, blah, blah. Once the design is done, they move to another project. And while they're doing another project, let's say the to-do list or the Instabox package tracking app, the developers are making the platform for the SDA. Once the developers finish with the SDA platform, they enter the next project, maybe the to-do list or the package tracker. But the thing is that the clients always have a new requirement, and because the design system is already in place, and they need to say, hey, I need to add a new button, not only to go back, but let's say in the application, we need to add a button to go to the next package. The developer, if it has more than 2 neurons in their brain and the design system is good enough, they just copy the design of the button and put next and back, put it to the sides of the screen on their own, and there it goes. And they could do the code base. So if you need to fire somebody, you don't need to keep the UX to just make the button next and back. A developer that is smart enough can figure it out how to implement that feature without the graphic design files originally. So yeah, so the developers will survive the layoff a little bit better, because UX don't do maintenance, developers do. So that's what saves you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did a little bit research on something like Glassdoor, and it seems UI UX have a little bit more salary, but as I asked from my friends or acquaintance or who working in IT, they also said that front end have more stable position.
Yeah, because once a company finds a good developer, I don't say that you are unfireable, but they really want to hire you because finding a developer that fits in the culture is so hard. But finding a designer to fit in the culture is so easy. So the switching codes from developers is really hard, like, because you need to learn. You need if you need, let's say that you are the UX in a company and you're fired, you quit. Jumping at somebody else from the new project and read the React file, sorry, the sketch files is not that hard. It's visual things, so you understand what it's about. Integrating somebody in the code base takes weeks. So yeah, the recruiters don't want to do that. Like they really want, once you are part of the team, unless you're really bad or the company is really bad, yeah, no, the developers are not in the developers are not the first line of defense for firing people. Like there is like a lot of, I work in a television station where we have developers, community managers, news journalists, the people management, the ads itself, and in the pyramid, the people that were less fireable were the people handling the ads, because they were literally the people that touching the money, so they are not fireable. Then, oh, and we also have graphic designers. Then we have the developers. Below the developers were the designers. Well, mostly because we only have 2 designers for the entire department. So yeah, if we just fire one, we will collapse. But even if we're on a news in a television station, then the news journalists and the community managers were in the bottom of the pyramid. So those were far way before the other were considered to be far. So yeah, it's not the top, but it was the second after the people managing the ads, that where the money comes directly. So yeah.
Good to know that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any more questions? Yeah, I will probably take one as well, because yeah, I got a goal as well, by the way. So I will take one more question from anybody, especially from Rada, Nira, Nirali, that never, or Kavya, that never ask questions. So this is your time to shine. And if you don't make a question, I will drop it. Oh, Fiona never asked questions as well, so you can make a question as well, by the way. So one more question. Otherwise, I will say, okay, thank you so much for having this optional, blah, blah, blah. And I will probably post the video tomorrow because I really want to go. Anyways, I don't have I don't have a pressure that you need to study this content anyway. So I will probably upload it tomorrow instead of today. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And
bye.
see you in the group project.
Nice evening. Yeah. See you.
Bye.
Thank you.